This is the 20th season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, AFTCO, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning, and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. A lot going on in the world of bass fishing over the last couple weeks. We have Angler of the Years, we have Classic qualifications, Red Crest qualifications, who is looking for a home in professional bass fishing, who re-qualified for another year, new qualifiers, all sorts of stuff going on. Recorded show today. I'm currently still up in Minnesota trying to catch either largemouth or smallmouth at Leech Lake. Been plying my trade up there for the Open, but a really cool show. Got a collegiate angler that I've had my eye on. I noticed he's fishing he's fished a couple Opens. He's been in the Toyota series, and now he is a sophomore at Auburn University. But like, the dude's also like fished with some heavy hitters out there. He's having a good year on the Toyota series. He's currently in the top 40 in the Northern division, and then cashed a check in the Plains division as well. So I'm not sure what to expect from Reese here, but one of those dudes who is trying to make a name for himself in the industry, collegiate angler. Actually, he's probably got about 2 years. If you look at what the average age of the guys who are kicking everyone's butt is now, he might be on a little bit on the older stage of it. But Reese, thanks for jumping on BTL.
Thank you, Matt, for having me. I've always watched Bass Talk Live, so yeah, I appreciate you for having me on here, and I'm excited to talk some bass fishing. So,
how old are you?
Just turned 19 in May. So,
okay, so you're like right about the same age as like Trey McKinney.
Yes, exactly. Like a couple months younger than him. So,
does that blow your mind when you see guys that are your age that are like, and within a year or two that are like just pretty much dominating, for lack of a better word, at the very top level of professional bass fishing?
Yes, I mean it's very eye-opening, but like Matt, too, like after fishing the EQs last year, like, and how tough these bodies of water are, like seeing them really excel, especially with using their electronics like live scoping and stuff like that. Seeing them excel and really kind of separating themselves from the rest of the field and like all these different bodies of water, I could see it coming, especially with the development in technology. So, I mean, it's definitely eye-opening because it's like a lot of bass fishing seems like it has to do with like experience and like knowing like how to adjust to certain situations. But like with electronics now, it's like you seem like you know where fish are moving and how to catch roamers and stuff like that. So.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's got to be a very real thing for you too, especially being at Auburn, one of the richest bass fishing history. That's a poor way to say it. One of the schools with the richest history of collegiate bass fishing, obviously, most notably the Lee brothers coming out of there with Jordan Lee, one of the first collegiate anglers who almost won the dang classic as a student at Auburn on Gunnersville. Had it not been for like one bad day, he would have blown the classic out of the water. So it has to be cool to be at a university with so much bass fishing history. Is that one of the reasons why you chose Auburn?
Yes. So I definitely chose Auburn for the bass fishing team, and like the school itself just seemed like very appealing. Just like the atmosphere and like the SEC football. I mean, that's awesome as well. And just like the pathway these past couple years that Logan Parks created and Tucker Smith kind of went through and created himself, and they kind of molded together and made an awesome program with Jordan Lee's legacy. So it's just been an awesome. I've had a lot of fun being a part of this team, and it's a lot of fun. So.
All right, so I'm not going to lie. It catches your eye when you see like really famous guys holding bass, whether it's The Rock or whoever it is, Deion Sanders. He just got a bass cat, bunch of guys who really like to bass fish. Now, I've seen you and your fishing account. I think I've seen like Steph Curry I've seen a bunch of like big time names. You're like an official Under Armour athlete. And then you're hanging out with Steve Harvey, catching bass with him. And that was kind of, I was like, who the heck is this kid and how is he doing it? Because the biggest overused phrase, in my opinion, is growing the sport. And it's really hard to like do that, to figure it out. But when you've got someone who's with people who reach millions of people, like that's tangibly growing the sport. Because even if 0.5% of those people go, oh, this is my favorite athlete, this is my favorite dude, I've watched Family Feud for 20 years, and it gets in, now you're actually introducing thousands of people to the sport. So right off the hopper, how the heck do you get to hang out with all these crazy A-listers and put bass fishing in front of them?
Yeah, so it like based on like the celebrities that I've posted, like Steph Curry, obviously I met through my mom, and she was the president of the NBA Players Association for like 2 years. But the Steve Harvey, like the boys mentoring camp and the
Yeah.
foundation, that which is obviously a blast. The foundation reached out to me through like my brand on social media,
Mm-hmm.
and that boys mentoring camp. Just a backstory: they have like 250 campers, all like during Father's Day week, because all the campers don't have father figure in their lives. So he kind of like teaches them like the basics of manhood, stuff like that, and then that Saturday is like their fishing day. So I go there, I talk to the campers. I got to do a little fishing with Steve, obviously in the morning. And yeah, so it's an awesome experience. And Steve and a lot of top celebrities like that, they're doing a lot to get the youth into bass fishing and like the sport as a whole, because obviously people think like bass fishing is more of like a hobby, but then they don't see like the professional sports side of it from like the outside looking in. So that's what Steve and a lot of other celebrities are trying to do as well.
So is he like into fishing? Like he digs fishing?
Oh, he absolutely loves it. Like
Really?
it's unbelievable how much he loves fishing. Like he has 7 ponds around like his property, and all he does is pretty much bass fish. Like as much times as he gets, he bass fishes. He does research, everything like that. We went to I had Precious Achua from the Knicks with me, and
Okay.
as he was there talking to Precious, he was like, great to see you, Precious. And then he proceeded to keep talking to me about fishing. Like he is
Like what was he asking? What was he trying to get, like tips and tricks, or was he trying to figure out how the tournament scene worked? Or
he was trying to get tips and tricks, and he was also just showing me the fish he caught. Like it's like since the last year I haven't been there.
okay.
So he has a pond in the back that he doesn't let anybody fish. I fished it once, but he has a pond behind his house that has 60 fish in it, but all females and nothing under 5 pounds.
Really?
Yes, it's ridiculous. Oh, honestly, it's ridiculous.
Did you get to fish it?
Oh yes, yeah. So I went there right before I left, and like it was like my second cast on a clutch darter. They destroyed it. It was actually unbelievable because they don't see baits like that there. So it was awesome. It really was.
That's cool. And then you kind of, it sounds like this is kind of an annual thing that you do, and like work with the with the people, the kids who are there for the mentoring camp, kind of teach them fishing, show them the ropes. Everybody gets a rod and reel, that type of thing.
Yeah. So I pretty much do that every like year on that Saturday, the day before Father's Day, and yeah, so I try to plan it out like according to that. And then Bass Pro Shops, huge shout out to them. They give me hats for all the campers for that camp as well. So I kind of give them, I guess, like a couple goodies for each camper. But again, there's 250 of them,
Yeah.
so there's a lot.
And then you said that is he into bass fishing too, Precious?
No. So it was his first time ever bass fishing. I just like as soon as we got to the pond, I got him into it, and he caught a 4-pounder first cast. Go figure. So that was
His first cast ever bass fishing was a 4-pounder.
yes. I showed him how to cast it. He cast it out a drop shot, pink robo worm, and he was like, I think I got something. Sets the hook, 4-pounder. I'm just like, okay, well, I guess that's what we're going with.
Wow. So then I would say probably the other most famous it would have to be Paul George, and he's buddies with Jacob Wheeler too.
Yeah. I don't know the correlation between them two.
I think it's like the Pacers and Wheelers from Indianapolis, and then he like won like 95 tournaments in a row. So somehow they got kind of like hooked up through that.
Yeah, I could imagine. And honestly, like, just because I guess because of my mom, I was on the insider loop of like
Yeah.
the bubble, like like a lot of NBA players, all they did was like bass fish and that.
No joke. Who else bass fishes?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, but I just remember like
They were into it.
yeah, they were into it like during like when they were in that bubble during like COVID, during like
Oh, that was one of the things they could do, and it's competitive, and you can have a good time, and you're outside. But mainly, I would imagine like the competition, and you know who can catch the biggest bass.
Exactly. So they loved it over there. I know like a lot of guys didn't even want to go to practice because they were having so much fun fishing. So it was awesome to expose them to that too.
Dude, that's so badass. So how did you get into it then?
So I got into like I guess bass fishing itself during COVID. Yeah, so I haven't been fishing that long, and I fished like for catfish off my dock since I was probably 10. But I played travel basketball. I was like on a ranked travel team all the way up until like high school. So I didn't really think of fishing as something like in that competitive nature until COVID. And then I started bass fishing. And then a retired pro moved into the neighborhood. His name is he fished like the Redmans and stuff in the Potomac.
Like old school.
Stacy. Yeah, his name is Stacy Kraft and his son CJ. Huge shout out to them. They mentored me and kind of showed me the ropes of bass fishing, and then I got into that way. So
did you fish in high school then, like on a high school team or?
No, because I guess in Maryland, because it's a little different from the South, I didn't really have like the facilities in terms of like having a coach, nor like anybody else that really enjoyed bass fishing in my age. So I just like as soon as I got into bass fishing, I did some local stuff on the Potomac, and then I got into BFLs that way, and just kind of worked my way up from there. Just because like I pretty much just learned it all like myself, like in terms of like how like fishing works and launching a boat, recovering, stuff like that.
Really? So you just were like, I like this. I want to learn it. Let's roll with it and see what happens.
Exactly. I didn't think I didn't think it was gonna go this far. All honesty, like I was just like I had a passion for it, but I didn't think it would have landed me like in the Toyotas or Under Armour sponsorship Bass Pro. I couldn't see that happening as soon as I started. So
you're a perfect like case study of someone who got into bass fishing through COVID, which we through that time period around 2020, which we know there was a massive spike in the industry with all of the tackle sales, with people getting into it. What do you think it was about it that made it stick? Because that was it. Like, hey, are people going to try this? And then once they can go back to their quote unquote daily lives, they'll be like, oh, remember that time when I bass fished every day for a year? But what was it do you think that stuck with you?
I think it's like the competitive nature of it, as well as just like there's no, I can't equate any other feeling of like catching a bass to something like it's just like an adrenaline rush, I guess, where it's so like it's so fun and like it feels so rewarding because at the end of the day, bass aren't easy to catch. So it's a challenge just going out there regards to catch bass. So I think it was just like the challenge that like kind of kept me out there, and then just like the reward at the end.
So were you fishing just like a ton that first couple of years, like just soaking in all the information that you could get, or how did you get to the point where you could compete? I mean, like I said, you're 38th this year. You admitted like the opens were kind of eye-opening experience that first time, but I mean, it's not easy to cash a check in these things, and you just are coming off of a 44th place finish on the Potomac River, and then hold on, let me scroll back down here. Oh, I was looking at it. I was like, wait, that wasn't it. I was on Stacy Kraft's profile. A 24th place finish on the Potomac River this year in June, which is where I saw your name and was like, oh yeah, that's a solid finish.
Yes. Yeah. It was like my practice wasn't very good. It was like pretty hit or miss. And I have a lot of time on the river. But I also grew up like in COVID, I fished the Patuxent. It's the one literally right behind my house. It doesn't set up like the Potomac because it's not tidal grass. It's just like more laydowns and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a great finish for me, all honesty. Especially like the first day I was in fifth, and then the second day I was in 10th, and then the third day I honestly just ran out of spots. Like I was hitting everything, and like the tide just wasn't really like right with like what I was trying to do because I was live scoping, which is different than I guess the Potomac stereotype of just like throwing chatterbaits, swim jigs, stuff like that.
Yeah. You do a lot of research then? Like, are you a student of the game, would you say?
Yeah. So I probably spend out of like a 24-hour day, I probably spend 2 to 3 hours a day researching like baits, like tackle stuff. I spend a lot of time behind my graphs as well, just like map study for like upcoming tournaments. So like I keep up with the news a lot just because I like to make observations on who's doing good where and what their strengths are as an angler, and then how I can kind of help that to adapt my game. So
then like even reading graphs and learning how to graph, like, dude, I've been doing this since I was like 13 years old and I still suck at that. It's like my least favorite part of the game. Do you learn that? Like, has anyone like showed you how to do that? Is that YouTube where you're watching all the videos on graphs and then going it out and doing it by yourself? Like, how do you know you're doing it right and what you're doing?
Yeah. So I guess like figuring out the basics of a Lowrance graph, just chart, down scan, stuff like that. Stacy showed me it on my unit when I had like a HGS 7 on my G3 aluminum boat, which was my first boat. So he showed me how to use that. But like in terms of like really reading side scan and forward facing sonar and like chart overlays, like the advanced settings, it was definitely over YouTube. Like I was looking at YouTube. I would have my computer on my boat. I still do to this day. And making sure, like, especially with Humminbird charts, Garmin charts, stuff like that, like I like to make sure I'm getting like the most out of my units every body of water I go to, because you have to change the settings. So
yeah, who's your favorite? Like, who in your opinion has been the most influential, helpful, informative YouTube channel in your journey? I'm really curious on this.
I don't know. That's. I mean, off the top of my head, I would like to say Wired to Fish is really good.
Okay. Yeah, they've been around forever.
Yeah.
Like you watch like Polinick, Wheeler, that type of stuff, the Hunter Shryock,
Yeah, and I think in terms of electronics, I would say Russell Marine Products is pretty good.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because they do like comparison, especially with forward-facing sonar. They do comparison of like Garmin versus like GlideScope versus Active Target. I really look at that stuff. So
I like it. All right. I don't know if it's changed from here, but I'm going to pull this up. We're going to take our first break of the show. Dude, you got a lot of stuff going on that boat right now. So I want to talk about sponsorships, fishing at the collegiate level, and then what your plans are in the next couple years when it comes to bass fishing, if you're cool with that.
Yes. Yeah. I'm totally.
All right. BTL, Reece Tremaglio, right? There's a G in there that throws me off every time, Reese.
Yeah, because the G's silent, so it's like Tremaglio.
Is that Italian?
Yeah, my dad's Italian, yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah. You ever been to Italy?
I've been once. Yeah.
Do you like it? I just got back from Europe a couple weeks ago. I did Scotland.
Yeah, I've not been there. I've been to Sorrento.
I know it's different,
Italy.
but it's still Europe.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun.
Cool. There's a little bit of bass fishing over there in Italy. They always have an Italian bass fishing team.
Yeah. I and like with Jacopo Galelli and them. Yeah. I haven't kept up with bass fishing there though.
All right. Well,
at some day.
BTL will be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top 100, Strike King.
Gear that just plain works. Cast after cast after cast. AFTCO. Any fish, any water.
Gamakatsu, the innovation leader in fish hooks, is launching Nano Alpha technology in 2024. Nano Alpha is a new finish available on Gamakatsu's most popular hook styles. It delivers 2 times slicker performance, 4 times better corrosion resistance. Nano Alpha technology makes the world's greatest fish hooks even better in 2024 to help anglers catch more fish.
Born in Japan, using technology, innovation, and precision, Sunline produces the widest selection of fishing lines at the most technologically advanced line factory in the world. Manufactured at the strictest tolerances to produce victories at the highest levels of tournament bass fishing. From household names like Christie, Swindle, and Cruz, to young guns like Cook, Logan, New, and Welcher, they all trust Sunline to take them to the top of the leaderboard. Choose the line that will give you the strength to guarantee your confidence. Sunline.
Yes.
Fishing isn't just a hobby, it's an obsession. Whether it's blazing hot or bitterly cold, bright sunshine, raining, or even snowing. Someplace, somewhere, there's a fish that's ready to bite. And as the angler, you need baits that will catch the fish anywhere, anytime, no matter the conditions. From throwing topwaters to cranking the depths, know the baits to throw. Choose Spro.
Denali Fishing has me covered on the Bassmaster Opens, from their line of high-end rods, from the Android series all the way to the Tack series, the Novus series bait casting reels, all the way to the Covert series of tungsten in the cylindrical and the teardrop shapes. Denali has everything to keep me covered, whether I'm finesse fishing for smallmouth on the Great Lakes or flipping for largemouth in the slop down in Florida. The complete lineup is always on my deck and in my boxes. Denali Fishing.
Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer 1, 2, or 3 graphs up front, Beatdown Outdoors has a solution for you. Adjustable, versatile, rigid, and made in the USA. What's your ultimate electronics setup? Check out the full selection of Beatdown Outdoors products by visiting beatdownoutdoors.com. All right, welcome back to BTL, talking with Opens, Toyota, and Auburn collegiate fisherman Reece Tremaglio. And I showed the picture before. Dude, you got a lot of sponsors, man.
I do. I couldn't be more thankful for all of them, to be honest.
Talk about that process, how you kind of navigated that scene, and how important that is to your career, because I mean, we're kind of to a point now where I fish the opens. I know how expensive it is. I wouldn't be able to do it without the companies that support BTL, the Best on Tour sponsorship. Sign up for the weekly newsletter at bestontour.net. Anyway, but talk about how you kind of came about that, how you went from learning into bass fishing to getting into the tournament to learning it to ending up in the Wrap Nitro with the Under Armour, all the sponsors on it.
Yeah, so as soon as I really got into bass fishing, I thought that I would want sponsors to kind of help me in terms of just baits. My first sponsor was Venom Lures. Huge shout out to them. And as soon as I got sponsored by Venom, I went on my Instagram and I did a lot of promotion videos for them. And I just built up through there to get Woo Tungsten and then TH Marine and just kind of built up that ladder that way.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, I gained the interest of Bass Pro Shops and was sponsored by them for a year and really marketed all their baits in Nitro itself and gained the Under Armour sponsorship and just kind of kept going up the ladder that way. I feel like a lot of people equate sponsors to how good of a fisherman you are, which obviously the elites guys, the Bass Pro Tour guys, they're top of line fishermen and they should have top line sponsors. No doubt about that. But your ability to market the companies that you work with, it means more to them than like how good of a fisherman you are. Because at the end of the day, for example, Matt, if me and you, we both win an open back-to-back, like they're not getting the money for it. The only money they're getting is from us selling their product. And that's what I tell a lot of people is it doesn't happen overnight, obviously. And you just have to be patient with it and reach out to as many sponsors as possible because at the end of the day, like they won't know of you unless you reach out, unless like you made the Elite Series all of a sudden or something of that nature.
And I'm trying to get a picture where I can zoom in on this. How'd you end up with your logo? Because here it is right here. It's one of the coolest little logos out there. Like, there you go. Look at that.
Yes, yeah. So I had we reached out to like this designer and my first Toyota ever, Mark McWall, which is still the tournament director today. Yep. He pointed out like my hair and my visor that really stuck out. I feel like I looked a little bit like Sonic, but but we pretty much was like, that should be our logo. That should be like our, I guess, trademark, so to speak. And I wanted it to like kind of look like my hair, me, not McDonald's French fries, by the way. That's one I get a lot. But yeah, that was kind of like my logo, and I love it realistically. So.
What's the game plan? How many tournaments are you fishing with Auburn? How does that work at the collegiate level as to what you're involved with? And then what are your plans outside of the collegiate fishing in the immediate future?
Yeah, so right now, obviously, I'm moving back into Auburn in about a week. But next week I go to, actually this Friday, I go to the St. Lawrence River for the Toyota Series there because I'm kind of on the edge when it comes to the Northern Division, and I need to have a pretty good finish in order to make the.
So that'll be going on. This will air. Let me find my calendar here. Holy cow, it's flying by. So this will air the week of the 19th through the 23rd. So we're right before that now. So you'll be on the St. Lawrence trying to catch giant smallmouth. Exactly,
and after what Kyle Patrick caught today.
Dude, 8 pound, 1 ounce Smalley. Did you see that thing?
That's unreal. What's
your PB Smalley?
I think it was like 5'8".
And, you'll have a legit shot at breaking that this next week.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I was in a 19-footer, so I didn't really have the courage. Not the courage, but like I didn't want to. I didn't want to run to Clayton if I didn't have to, and. I might not this Toyota either, but it's just like that seems like where the more quality is. But who knows, honestly.
Yeah, anyway, I threw you off track. You were talking about what your game plans were. You're talking about how you're trying to make the Toyota Championship out of through the Northern Division here.
Yeah. So my game plan is I do hope I make the invitationals at some point. But in the immediate future, I'm still gonna be fishing for Auburn. In the fall, they have a lot of tournaments as well as like uh yeah, fishing like the Toyota Championship, hopefully, fingers crossed. And yeah, so pretty much I'm gonna be mixing in both, just because like with college fishing, there's so many tournaments like and so many bodies of water you go to at low cost. It's just really good for the experience aspect. And then yeah, so that's kind of what my goal is to make the invitationals at some point.
Okay.
So, yes, yeah. So kind of go through the major league fishing ranks, so to
So
speak.
you're looking at this as a career path.
Yes, yes, and like if God willing,
Yeah.
obviously, I look at it as a career path. However, I am an accounting major,
Okay.
so and like I take studies first. So if I were to like do this profession, I would hope to have like some sort of accounting job online as well, or
Okay.
something along those lines, or just go into accounting and then put professional fishing to the side. I don't really know. It's just it all depends on how good I do and if like I still have the same motivation as I do 2 years from now, which honestly I expect to happen just because I love fishing so much. So yeah, I want to go into the professional fishing, bass fishing like tournament circuit, but I have something to fall back on, and that's the main reason why I'm in college. So
How'd
yeah.
you settle on accounting? That just sounds like very painful for a communications major like myself back in the day in a fellow SEC school, University of Oklahoma.
Yeah, so all honesty, I'd be lying if I didn't say if I didn't tell you my parents were like
Mhm.
accounting is like it's a safe major because with the development and technology and stuff, you're never necessarily out of work.
Okay.
So I just I don't know. I haven't really made up my mind yet because I am a sophomore. I might do finance, but right now I'm sticking on accounting, and I'm gonna try to minor in like brand marketing or something along those lines.
Okay. I
Yeah.
like it. I like it. How many guys are on your team now out of Auburn? Is it still a giant team and there's still like 40 boats on it?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of people on the team. There's a lot of people that uh, don't necessarily fish as many tournaments, um, but they like bass fishing because obviously we're a club team
Yep.
because we're at a big school, so anybody can join. So people that just enjoy bass fishing have joined the team, but there is, I would say, around 25, maybe I would say like 30 anglers that really go to the Major League Fishing Bassmaster tournaments like that. But I don't remember what the numbers are, to be honest, but I want to say like 60
You
or
guys do
something.
like meetings and all that stuff still, like monthly meetings and all that?
Yeah. We still do like meetings and everything, and we talk about like strategy and stuff like that for points because at the end of the day, like we want to be school of the year, and we've done it, and we've also been really close. So it's really the thing I learned about college is it's really like strategy on like who you send to certain tournaments and what tournaments you do and which ones you don't, which is weird. Obviously, you think you go to them all, you get the most points, you win, but
Yeah.
it's like you have to fish like your first three is what counts for points and not the other ones. So if you only have 5 boats at your second tournament, that's not good for the school. So it's really complicated. I
A
let Jake,
tad bit convoluted.
yeah, I let Jake the president. I let him do the strategy. I just try to fish,
All right.
honestly.
I'm rolling through this. So I'm looking at 2021 was really the first year of this. So 99% of people, Reese, are going to go, guess what? They have like co-anglers in the BFLs and in the Toyotas and all this. I think I'm just going to like get my feet wet, jump in, see how it's done. I see like no co-angler tournaments here. I see like all boater tournaments.
Yeah. I like as soon as because when I was younger, like I had a boat that like I took out on the river, like, and I helped my dad launch and recover. So
Okay.
like we've been on the water like my whole life. So I knew like the recovering, like owning a boat. I got my boater's license at 10 years old.
Okay, so you've been in a boat, man. Like you know your way, you know your how to run a boat.
Yeah, so it wasn't really like running a boat and like stuff like that was the issue. It was more like just becoming a better fisherman. And obviously the co-angler way is like definitely like a really smart way of doing it. But the thing is like I really grew my brand early and I got a nitro. So I just felt like I really wanted to just enter the scene that way and kind of learn the ropes and figure it out for me and not really like have like a coach or somebody saying like, you need to do this, you need to do that, because at the end of the day, like it's I guess my career and it's like my journey. So I wanted to like do it that way. But yeah, it was definitely, if you look at the statistics, I mean, it was a build up for sure.
Yeah. What do you remember about that first one? So the BFL on the Potomac River, May 15th, 2021. I think that was like your first solo derby there, right?
Yeah, exactly. I remember it like it was yesterday. Actually, he's probably going to watch this Bass Talk Live as well. Greg Shooter was my co-angler.
Okay.
He was an awesome guy. He has a boat now, so he fishes the BFLs on the boater side. But like he was like probably one of the greatest co's I could have had for a first tournament, just because he was like helping me like explain how tournament fishing, like I wouldn't say works, but like helping me adapt into certain conditions and stuff like that. And we kept in touch on the Potomac ever since. And I remember, I think I caught 3 fish for it was like 7 pounds something, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you beat a bunch of people in the first one. You finished 78, 3 for 708.
Yes, yeah. So it was a really good tournament for me, all honesty, just because like it was my first big tournament. I was like, I really want to go to the scales.
Yeah, do you remember that first fish?
Yes.
Like, were you just like jacked beyond all belief that you were
so excited.
What'd you catch it on?
It was either a Venom Lures buzztail shad or it was a jackhammer. One of the two. Okay. I don't really remember, just because I caught 2 on the buzztail and 1 on the jackhammer. So I don't know. I don't remember. But I think I would want to say it was a buzztail just because of the odds.
That's the tough way to do it, Reese. To just jump in and say, let's learn this thing as we go.
I know. It definitely was. And a lot of people think like I had a lot of like surrounding, but like my dad nor my mom, like they don't fish at all. Like my dad, he'll fish, and I'm sure you hear him in the back of the videos. He is like, it's just all jokes. Like
what'd they say when you were like, hey, I want to like do this tournament fishing thing?
They were really supportive of it. At first they were like, they weren't not supportive. They were like confused. Like they didn't know what, like, how do you do this? Like they were just like, awesome, Reese. Like, what are the next steps? Because it's not like something like, oh, you play college basketball, you go to the NBA. Like that's not. It's not
hard. It's tough to figure out what you need to do. There's so many different trails. There's so many different options. There's different entry fees, different leagues. I would imagine it would be really tough to figure out like how to actually get into it.
Yes. So like as soon as I really like showed like a pathway, I guess it didn't fully align with what I did now with the Opens EQ, because I didn't know that at the time. But like my parents were like, if this is what you want to do, like we're gonna help you out with like all their support. And honestly, like I couldn't thank them enough as well. So.
And you said your dad's into it now too, huh?
No. Like
no, still not, just supports you.
Yeah, he's supports from afar. He's like, how'd you do today? And I'll be like, oh, 16 pounds. Or I said on Champlain, 14 pounds. And he was like, oh, nice. That's a good day. And I was like, it's not actually. It's really not.
Yeah, when I first started dating my girlfriend, she'd be like, you caught a limit. And I'd be like, yeah, 98% of the field caught a limit.
Exactly. You're just like.
What'd you learn about the Opens? You jumped in cold 2023. The first year of second year of the all 9 EQs. And that, I mean, dude, I'm like in it now. It's not a field to like play around with.
No, I mean, That was like the biggest grind
Yeah.
I've experienced in bass fishing, especially coming from, I think I fished one Toyota in 22. So like that was like a big step up for me. But like realistically, I went into it not thinking I was going to qualify for the elites,
Mhm.
but like to learn as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because if you surround
Good way.
yourself, exactly, if I surround myself around really good anglers, I'll start to become that. And it was like a learning experience that I probably couldn't have gained over 10 years if I didn't do it. Just because it showed me the importance of learning my electronics, like learning like different bait techniques, stuff like that. I I couldn't ask for any better than joining the EQs, especially like last year when we did Toledo Bend.
Oh,
I
I got
like
smoked there, bro. I
I
got
did too.
absolutely smoked.
And it was because everybody was saying, like, a guy was telling me, he was like, I'm catching him on a Demiki rig. And I'm like, what is that? You know what I mean? Like, what is a minnow?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? That's not even real. Now it's like every body of water I'm going to, I'm catching them on a minnow. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just like, if I didn't really like learn a lot from, because obviously you learn more from bad tournaments than good, in my opinion. So it's just like I had a great learning experience last year, and honestly, I wouldn't change it for anything.
That was the one Milliken won. Let me scroll down here in the hundreds. I believe I have the distinction of having like the smallest 5 bass limit of largemouth on Toledo Bend. I have yet to find anybody who can rival. Yep. Okay, here we go. I got to scroll way down because it was really bad. So I had a limit the first day. This is Toledo Bend. Mind you, in this tournament, Ben Milliken had 29 pounds, 8 ounces on the first day. And there were 17 bags over 20. And if you came in with 15th, you were in 65th. I had a 5 bass limit that weighed 8 pounds, 1 ounce. Do you know how hard it is on Toledo Bend to catch 5 14-inchers that weigh 8 pounds, 1 ounce? You have to really try. I don't think you can beat that in April.
I really don't. I honestly,
the middle of April, I don't think that will ever be beaten for the smallest limit.
Was there like any that were like?
No, I had all male line burners. So here's what happened. I started out wacky rigging docks that tournament, and my co-angler catches an 8-1 on like the third cast off a dock. Like he was throwing the same wacky rig I was, spun me out hardcore. So I end up catching like one line burner there. And I had at that point like a 20-day limit streak going. And I mean, it was just, I didn't understand what was you just missed it. You know how it is.
Yeah,
you just missed it.
Yeah.
And you're on Toledo Bend in April, and you're one of the only guys that's missing it.
Exactly.
So I ended up going up to this cypress tree, and I tied on a spinner bait, and I caught 4 other line burners on the next 6 casts with like half an hour left that were all 14 and 1/32 inches. Like just bam, 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 bam. And that's how I ended up with my 5 fish limit for 8-1.
Honestly, I think I've weighed a limit less than that on the Potomac with 12 inches. I've done that.
But I learned, and you want to talk about it's all learning. So what I learned was I was trying to make it way more complicated than it was. And so then I go out on the second day, and I had a little, I wouldn't even say rebound effort. I had like 12 pounds on the second day, but it was super simple. What I was like, okay, I'm going to target these cypress trees, but I didn't do my homework, Reese. And I went and I was like, I'm going to find the cypress trees that have some water on them. And I went right. And had I looked at Google Earth, had I done my research and homework, I would have known if I had gone left that there was a deeper stretch of cypress trees, which is what I was looking for. There were 2 top 10s out of that deeper stretch of cypress trees. I ended up fishing the ones in 2 foot of water, not knowing they were there. So that really helped me with homework in the future, with making sure that didn't happen again. So everything's a learning experience. It sounds like you embrace the learning experience. You like learning. You're not discouraged with the learning curve.
Yeah, exactly. And it's fishing. Like you're gonna have good tournaments. You're gonna have bad. Like I've gotten the experience like a lot more experience now than I did last year, but it's not like I'm still positive. Like I'm really happy after a good day, and after a bad day, I'm not happy by any means, but I'm not upset because I learned something and I'll do better the next time I'm there. So, for example, like for Toledo Bend, like I feel like I know what to do next time I'm there. But obviously it might not work, but I mean it's just having confidence in getting the experience on different bodies of water, because one technique that might work at one place ends up working for another, like it did for me on the Potomac Toyota. So that was an awesome experience, and I just like I take the great and I also take the bad tournaments and just keep going on and keep fishing, honestly.
Where could people follow you for the rest of your fishing journey for this year, and then going into next year at Auburn?
Yeah, so make sure you guys like follow my Instagram. It's Pax River Reese. It's PAX River, and then my first name Reese. It's in the video as well, how to
Okay.
spell it. And yeah, I pretty much Instagram's all I do. I try to like add whatever's on Instagram on Facebook, but that's pretty much it.
I haven't been on Facebook in like a year.
Yeah, I haven't
I'm
either.
an Instagram guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I enjoyed the heck out of this. I mean, I'm used to talking to a lot of guys who are who have won the major tournaments, who are at the top of their very game. So I really like picking the brain out of someone who's like getting involved in it, who's in the learning curve. You pick up, the industry needs to listen to more people who are in your position, because dude, like fishing is such a cool thing, but I feel like it's so hard to kind of break down that door and get into it where you can get an idea of what you're doing. You're dealing with a lot of stuff, boats and travel and money and costs. So it's really cool to see, just to hear. And I knew none of that before that. I mean, like I said, I just seen your Instagram story. But that's freaking awesome, dude. I enjoyed the heck out of this one.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. And thank you for having me on Bass Talk Live. And obviously, like, I love talking about bass fishing. And I like sharing the sport to like the youth and like pretty much everybody that's trying to get into it. Cause there's a lot more people out there like me that got into bass fishing itself during COVID. And I just kind of want to like show people, especially people like in the cities, like inner city youth, that like, you can bass fish with like a Walmart rod and you can start out doing pretty much anything. So that's what I try to do. And I try to not overcomplicate the journey.
Hey, they've got that Bassmaster Classic Celebrity Pro-Am that they do at every Bassmaster Classic. You ought to get a hold of Bass and try to get Steve in that.
I know. Yeah, I really should.
Yeah, like that would be ideal. Like as much as he loves it, he'd be all over that.
Oh, he would. And like,
I think Randy Moss, Travis Pastrana, bunch of guys fish that.
Yeah, if I told him early enough, he would go.
Well, I think 6 months is probably a little close. You got work on the 2026 with him.
Exactly. Yeah, like he'll drop everything to do bass. It's unbelievable. It really is. It's so awesome. It's so awesome.
That's awesome. All right, well, I'm gonna let you go. I appreciate the time, and good luck with your studies at Auburn this upcoming year for your sophomore season.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. Good luck at Leach as well.
Thank you. See you, Reese. All right, there you go. That's what it's all about. That was a really cool interview, learning about the next generation. And also, it's not just, you hear, oh, these young kids are catching them strictly because of forward-facing sonar. The more you talk to them, you have to be a student of the game, in my opinion, also to catch it. And you're seeing a coordination. And you can't, if you're an old school going, oh, you can't blame them. I mean, it's a tool that's there. They're learning the sport. He got into it before it was like a thing. And, dude, that takes a lot of dedication. I know how tough it was for me to go from fishing tournaments at 14 years old to working as an intern, like to fishing collegiately, to working as an intern in the industry around all this, and then fishing that the first tournament by myself as a 21, 20 or 22, 23-year-old, out of a Skeeter ZX 190. I was like nervous, green, and I had been like immersed in it since I was younger. So to jump in that thing at 16 at 17 with the boat to jump in it. It takes more guts than I had at that. So, all right, this has been another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live. Stay tuned to the website, basszone.com, for the upcoming schedule. We'll talk to everybody later. See ya.